Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today, we have a captivating story from one of our subscribers, Tim. Tim's tale is a whirlwind romance with a shocking twist. He'll be sharing his experience of meeting Noi in his home country of England, a beautiful Thai woman, and the unexpected turn their relationship took. Get ready for a story filled with love, betrayal, and cultural misunderstandings. My name is Tim, and I work in southern England. I'm 28, and I've always considered myself one of the good guys. Back in July 2021, I was single and decided to start looking for a new girlfriend online. My previous girlfriend was Turkish, a lovely girl too, and I admit, foreign girls always do something for me, not just in the trouser department. So I joined a few dating websites looking for foreign girls in my area. My first attempt was an abysmal failure. I spent 4 hours traveling to Wales to meet a Chinese girl with hairy shins, noisy, an eating disorder, and who picked her nose. So, as you guess, I moved on swiftly. After a few more weeks on these websites, I got the email address of a Thai girl living on the south coast, about 2 hours' journey from me. After sending a few emails to each other, she seemed like a pleasant girl. She was studying for an art and design diploma. She sent me some pictures of herself, and I liked what I saw. Cute, but not cute enough to make me jealous. As time went by, we chatted via WhatsApp, using the camera. At this point, I liked what I saw. She seemed so pure, so nice, so perfect. Remembering how disappointed I was with the Chinese girl I met, I kept things in perspective and didn't promise myself too much. I was just quietly confident at this stage. We talked about the possibility of meeting up in the future. Her name was Noi, and she lived with her relatives, who were her Thai cousin and her English husband. She also lived with her nephew, who unfortunately was diagnosed with cancer shortly after I met her online. She also worked many hours at a local noodle bar and at a Thai restaurant. One day, after about a month of knowing her through phonically and emails, I got a phone call from her. She invited me to go down and visit her for the weekend. Admittedly, I was still thinking of my last disappointment and wanted a few more weeks to be sure of a worthwhile visit. And normally I don't want to rush things. So I tried to make an excuse about not wanting to stay at a hotel, but she suggested I stay at her house. Her family were all out at the hospital for a few weeks. Hold on. Wait a minute. I pride myself on being a gentleman. She told me there was a spare room where I could sleep. Since I had no plans that day, and if I was going to be disappointed, I guess I had better get it out of the way sooner rather than later. I was still quietly confident though, so I trekked down to see her that evening and met her at the train station. I liked what I saw, cute, but not too cute. She seemed very warm and confident and well dressed. We chatted as she drove me back to her house. She was quite feminine, carefree, and polite. Everything was going well. When we got back to her house, I behaved myself as she showed me photos of Thailand, and we talked more. She then had to do some household chores for her family whilst I watched a film. She took care of me by offering food and drinks. I was beginning to feel like a king. Not one to be selfish, I always offered to help, but she insisted I sat down and relaxed. We sat and watched a film together. When I threw caution to the wind and put my arm around her, she turned and gave me that great big smile. I snuck in a few innocent kisses too. This was when she introduced me to a Thai kiss. Quite weird at first, but so innocent and cute. I was enjoying this. When it came to bedtime, she suddenly suggested that we shared her bed. What? I promised to keep my clothes on. That lasted long. I asked if I could have a kiss goodnight, but I got a little bit more. Even though my loins were ripening, I didn't want to spoil the day. After a few hot kisses and a few wandering hands, we retired for the evening. The next day we spent walking around town and the seaside. Again, everything felt good. If I didn't like her, I would have returned home by now, and she mentioned she had to go to London tomorrow to pay for her visa. She suggested we drive to my house as it is on the way there, and we can stay at my house overnight. I liked the sound of that. An extra day with her. That was when I found out that Thai girls drive very erratically. That evening back at my house, we cooked some food together. She brought some exotic food with her. We were quite tired and had to wake up early the next day for London. We slept together again that night, and more naughty fumblings ensued. She drove us up to London the next day to the Home Office to renew her visa. We started queuing at about 5 a.m. outside, and it was freezing cold. In our sleepy rush to get changed, I only brought my jumper, which I gave her to wear, whilst I froze my nuts off. A fairly boring day, to be honest, but I was with her, her smiles, so I was more than happy. When we returned to my house, I was in a good mood, but I didn't want to rush anything. She then went home, and we were both happy. The next weekend, I met her at the hospital, where we looked after her sick nephew until her relatives arrived. We travelled back together to her house on the train. Even though I was supposed to help her home, nothing more. When we were alone at her house, she told me that she loved me. Wow. This time I came prepared with my rubbers. She told me that she was a virgin too, and for once in my life I was wishing my wedding tackle was a bit smaller. Afterwards, we spent time together and walked around her town. She even drove me all the way home, and that's a fair trek, but her effort and caring impressed me. She mentioned that next time she goes to Thailand for a break, she would like me to go with her. Fantastic. I also saw her the weekend after, and each time I saw her, I was falling more and more in love. She seemed so innocent, so cute, so polite, and seemed to have all the virtues in a girl that I would go crazy for. I was not sure if I could trust her yet, but everything else was feeling good. We planned to meet the weekend afterwards, but her family had returned home from the hospital. It now became clear that she is not free at all from them. If they ask her to do something, she must do it. She often complained that she was not free when they were around, and she worked a seriously ridiculous amount of hours at the local Thai restaurant just to be free from them. I had to wait a few weeks before I could see her again. After such a good start, I was missing her like crazy. Next time I saw her was at her house, and with her relatives around, so I had to be on my best behavior. They were pleasant enough, but I could feel that they kept her under the thumb a lot. I was now fighting for her time against her study, work, and her family. Again, being a nice guy, I never put pressure on her for her time, although I did mention that I did deserve at least some of her time if she was free. A few weeks later, I managed to see her again. She traveled to my house and stayed the day and met my parents. I was still happy with everything, but as I could not spend much time with her anymore, I was getting withdrawal symptoms. 2 more weeks later, and we meet each other in London. We walked around Chinatown together and ate at a noodle bar. I always felt sorry for her not being free, so when I was with her, I always let her decide what we did. I was with her, so I didn't mind what we did, to be honest, At the end of the day, when she had to go back home, she said she loved me a lot, she won't leave me, and thinks we will have a strong relationship. Normally, I would have shat my pants, but I loved this girl and was on top of the world when I heard her say that. We had only really been together about 2 months, and apart from her time, everything was going very well. Until then, 4 days later, she phones me and tells me we have to split. I was absolutely gutted. It was a long way down for me to fall. The reason was that her family were getting angry at her for having a boyfriend, and that she should spend more time with her ill nephew. She is also here to study and should concentrate on that. Gee, thanks then. Wait for us to fall in love, and then tell us. I think her family were making her feel really guilty too. She said she did not deserve a nice guy like me, and I should look for another girl. I wanted to keep in contact with her afterwards, even if we just remained friends. There was also a part of me that hoped her situation would change, and we could get back together in the future, even though I knew I should not hold out too much hope. I went through the traditional feeling down when love finishes, but after a month or so I started to forget it. Sometimes I felt angry at her. Why did she say such strong things to me when she must have known it had to end soon? Then I remembered the good times and that I should forgive her, as when she is free, she has to make the most of it, even if nothing can last. Well, quite a standard love story until now. About 7 weeks afterwards, when I was finally losing interest, I received an interesting phone call. It was a friend of Noy's. It turns out her life was a lot more interesting and not so carefree. She had spent all of her father's money, about £5,000, and had not yet paid fully for her university course. She was in trouble with her family for this, and if her father knew, she would probably be sent back to Thailand. And what's more, her auntie visited her, and they had a massive row, probably about the money, and the police got involved, and her auntie was held in custody for 6 hours. She is also acting more and more like a bar girl. Was this really the same girl I fell in love with? She never mentioned any of this to me, and I never suspected her money problems. Whenever we went out for a meal together, she always insisted going half and never asked me for money. I would have forgiven her for hiding this from me. But there's even more. This person insisted on calling me Rick. I kept saying, I'm not Rick, I'm Tim. Who is Rick? At this point, my grass had told me that Noy's boyfriend's name was Rick. The lying, dirty, cheating. There could be a mistake here somewhere, of course, and in order to close this chapter, I need to speak to Noy. I just want to know the truth, and from her. This way, I can finally sum up whether or not she is a lying piece of filth who deserves to be in her predicament, or if I should feel sorry for her and offer my help. Although I should look at it as, thankfully, I'm not involved. Thanks for watching, everyone. We hope you enjoyed Tim's incredible story. If you did, please give this video a like, leave a comment, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more captivating tales from Thailand. We're always on the lookout for fascinating stories from around the world. If you have a story to share, please reach out to us. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.